Okay, so this is a walkthrough on how to complete your DICE Cycling Training Period 1 workbook. The cover will look like this, and this is one of our former riders on our program, Anna Whitworth-Hay, who we can see on the photo. And then we'll scroll down. We'll have the section here with candidate name, completion date. So you need to put your name and the date that you've completed this in here. Here are the learning outcomes which we're covering. And then we go into the section 1 for the workbook, or question 1. So question 1 says, list where you can find information about the skills and demands needed in order to improve your cycling discipline. So this basically is asking you, okay, well, where are you finding out the information that you are using to improve? So for example, you're probably using some of the information, if not all of the information, from your DICE sessions that we do midweek. And you are probably also using websites, and you are probably also using channels on YouTube, such as GCN. So this is really a list, okay? We don't need to explain it. We just need to list where you're finding information, okay? So as many different sources as you can, and really think outside of the box here as well. The objective of this question is, okay, we know information is everywhere. There is an abundance of information available on everything, but where are we finding information on how to improve as bike riders? Question number 2 asks you to briefly outline the key skills and abilities needed for excellence at the elite level in your cycling discipline. Now, if you're a multidisciplinary rider, then you can cover this question from a multidisciplinary perspective. But here we've got the 4 performance coactives: tactical, technical, physical, and mental. And we need to outline what are needed, what are the skills or abilities needed for each of these to achieve excellence. So this isn't to be better, but this is to achieve excellence. And when we're talking about excellence, then clearly we're talking about racing at the world-class level. So Olympics, World Championships, World Tour Professional, that kind of thing. And of course, we've been through, within our live sessions, we've been through these coactives. So I'm not going to go through these here because that's not the purpose of this video. But if you're not sure on these, then you need to go back and you need to look at the session that we did on the performance quadrant, which is available on your SGS Teams channel. Question number 3, also referring to the performance coactives, is give one example of how you assess your own ability in each of the performance coactives. For example, under the technical coactive, you might evaluate your cornering skills. Be specific about how you reflect and rate your performance in each area. So how are you rating your tactical ability, for example? How are you actually reflecting on that? And is that enough for you to be able to improve? Because the job as developing bike riders right now, your job is to improve, right? So this question is really getting you to think about how you actually assess your current level of ability. Question number 4, how can your coach help you to identify your strengths and areas of weakness as an athlete? Now, when we covered this in the live sessions, we looked at performance profiling, and we did a whole session on how to create a performance profile. And within that session, we discussed how your coach helps you, or should be helping you, to profile your own performance. In fact, your coach will probably need to know your performance profile anyway in order to help you to develop as a rider, to enable you to identify your strengths, your weaknesses, where you need to improve, what level you need to improve to, and then how to improve. So if you're not sure on this question, then check back on the performance profiling session that we did on our live DICE sessions. But this is really asking you about how the dynamic and the conversation between you and your coach helps you to identify your skills and abilities as a rider. Question number 5 is asking you to give an example of when you have had a discussion with a coach about identifying your strengths and weaknesses. And for this question, we're not just looking for like a date and a time and a location. We want to know what that discussion included. So what kind of things are you guys talking about? How was your coach identifying your strengths and weaknesses, as well as identifying what they were? How were they making that judgment? Okay. Is your coach able to see what you're doing at all times in competition? So for instance, if you're a track rider, then the answer to that question will be yes. But if you're not a track rider, if you're road, mountain bike, etc., cross country, then obviously your coach is not seeing what you're doing all of the time. So how are they actually making those judgments? For example, they could be asking for feedback from you. They could be looking at race results. They could be looking at data such as power profiles. But this is what we're asking you to think about here. Okay, so an example of when you had a conversation with your coach, and also what that conversation included. All right, question number 6, moving on very quickly. How does reverse engineering to break down a goal into smaller steps help you work towards achieving it? So this is a question essentially about goal setting. Okay, now we covered this in the live session. We did a whole session on reverse engineering. Goal setting goes beyond the SMART target principle: specific, measurable, achievable, etc. Really what we're interested in here is how we actually break down from the end result of the goal. Okay, so the goal being achieved, and we break that down and we work backwards and say, okay, well, let's go one step back from when the goal is achieved. What do we need to be able to do at that point? And we'll go one step further back from there. What do we need to be able to do by that point? And we keep going back and back and back and back until we get to where we are now. That is essentially reverse engineering. There's more to it than that, granted. And again, I'm not going to go into reverse engineering on this guide because that's not what this guide is about. If you're not sure about reverse engineering, what it means, and how it can help you to become a much, much better rider, without kind of, trial and error and kind of like taking a stab in the dark, then you need to check out the live video that we did, the live session video recording on reverse engineering. Again, it's on your SGS Teams channel. Question number 7. Why is it important for you guys on the DISE program to set SMART goals? So how does this support your development and your performance? Okay, so we know what the SMART target goals are. We've heard about them a gazillion times. And really, this question is asking you about why this works. Okay, so we're not saying that SMART targets aren't a thing and they're not relevant and that it's not something that we do anymore. What we're saying is that, we still need to make sure our targets and our goals are adhere to the kind of SMART principles. Okay, but we want you to explain in this question why that is. Question number 8 is actually a table. So we're moving on here into completing a performance analysis table. So some guidelines here. Fill out the table for each coactive. Create a table for coactive, technical, physical, and mental skills, like the example shown. So we've actually created this for you. For each one of these, you need to list 3 skills. Write down 3 important skills under each coactive that are relevant to your cycling performance. Self-score your ability on a range of 1 to 10. Get your coach to rate your ability on a scale of 1 to 10 so that we can compare your self-score with your coach's score. We then need to reflect and prioritize. So under the table, explain which skill you will focus on improving and why. Be specific about why it's important to your performance. Repeat this process for tactical, physical, and mental coactives. So I'm going to go through this just for the first one, technical. So outline 3 technical skills. So for example, let's say cornering, descending, and dismounts. Okay. How do you rate yourself on a score of 1 to 10? How does your coach rate you? Okay. And then which technical skill will you prioritize and why? So we take one of these and we say which one we're going to prioritize, and we explain why we're going to prioritize it. That goes in there. We then do the same for tactical, physical, and then mental. Okay, so the same process applied to each of the 4 coactives. We then go through a reverse engineering example. So set one goal for each coactive. So think about what you want to improve in each area: technical, tactical, physical, and mental. Well, funnily enough, we've just done that in the previous question because we picked out one skill or one aspect from each of the coactives. Okay. Assess your current level. Well, we've just done that as well, so we need to report on what that is. Define your future level. So where do you want to be? Set a deadline for when you want to be there, and then plan your actions. List up to 3 specific actions that you will take to achieve each goal. These actions should be realistic and directly linked to improving in the chosen area. It's really important that you take your time to reflect on each section and ensure that your goals and actions are clear and actionable. Okay, so again, if you're not sure about reverse engineering, how it works, how to do it, you need to check the recording of the live video because we spent an hour going through that, and it will help you to be able to do this section. So if I just widen my screen here, this is our reverse engineering table that we complete. So, for example, our technical goal, what do we want to improve? Well, let's say, for example, we chose dismounts for cyclocross. Dismounts. What's our current level out of 10? What is our intended future level? Now, that could be solely down to you, or it could be in having had a conversation with your coach. By when? And then looking at 3 actions that you are going to take in order to pursue this goal. Okay, we repeat the same for tactical, physical, and mental. So this is now creating an action plan of things that you are going to do. And remember, the whole point of this is not to come up with something which is theoretical. We're creating an action plan for real life. Okay, so what is it that you're going to do? What level do you need to be at? When are you going to get to that level? And give me 3 things, 3 actions that you are going to take to pursue each of those goals. Getting towards the end, we then evaluate our goal setting process. So what changes or new strategies have you implemented to help you progress towards achieving your goals? Okay. And then finally, reflecting on your approach to improving performance. How has setting clear goals and reverse engineering them helped to identify areas for growth and take actionable steps? What has this process taught you about your commitment and your decision making? So this section is very introspective. Okay, we are getting you to reflect honestly about your processes and about what you've learned about your level of commitment and how you go about deciding what to do. Okay, these are absolutely essential skills and abilities to develop that through this whole workbook. This workbook is very much aimed at enabling you to think about how you need to improve and to what degree you need to improve by and how you're actually going to get there. Okay, so it's really worth reflecting properly on this because it's the reflection part where you get to actually really evaluate whether what you are doing is making a difference to your race results. That's the end of the workbook. So shouldn't take you too long, and hopefully you will get quite a lot of benefit from doing this because it will help you to really straighten out the way that you think about how to improve as a rider and what you can be doing to improve your performance on a day-by-day and week-by-week basis.